In today's video, we'll be talking about the next major PlayStation 4 system software update, and you can sign up to be a beta tester right now. Spider-Man PS4 has a classic suit revealed for the first time. Todd Howard has talked about a variety of different things, such as the potential of a Fallout New Vegas situation and why that is unlikely to happen, as well as the possibility of an Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind remaster. A big update to enter the Gungeon has been released today, and THQ Nordic has revealed their lineup for Gamescom 2018. More on that at the end of this video. First, let's talk about the next major PS4 system software update, and that is Update 6.0. Whenever they have these clean update numbers, such as Update 5.0, 5.5, and 6.0, these updates are usually pretty major and add a lot of new features. Right now, Sony has started to recruit beta testers for it, and North American registration is open right now. We'll leave a link to that in the description box down below. The eligible period of registration is between July 19th and July 27th, and those that have been selected to be a part of the beta test will be announced at a later date. You'll probably be notified via email if you were suggested, as that is how they usually do these things. To give you guys an idea of how major of an update this could be, Update 5.5 included a bevy of new features, including super sampling mode, teams, and a lot of quality of life improvements. That super sampling mode was pretty major, especially for the PlayStation 4 Pro, as it essentially included visual improvements for those of you on a 1080p screen with a PS4 Pro, and that's pretty huge. An idea of what could come with System Software Update 6.0, there was a lot of rumors circulating that PlayStation Now, Sony's streaming service, was going to introduce a download feature for their games. At least for their PlayStation 4 games. The PS3 games I think are out of the question, since of course the PS4 is not backwards compatible. But Software Update 6.0 introducing downloads for PlayStation Now, I don't think that's out of the question, but expect a lot of major updates and updates that'll just make your overall PS4 experience a lot better. Again, a link to sign up for beta testing for System Software Update 6.0 will be in the description box down below. It's kind of exclusive in terms of who gets accepted to it, but it can't hurt to at least sign up. Moving on from that, as we are inching closer and closer to Spider-Man PS4's release on September 7th, we just get new bits and pieces of information seemingly every day, and here's another one. The PlayStation Twitter account posted this: check out what Spider-Man's been up to in Marvel's New York. And along with that, it showcases a classic suit for Spider-Man. The design looks pretty on point, and I personally was already super stoked for Spider-Man, so whenever I see just little pieces of information like this, it just gets me more excited about the game. And I think Sony and PlayStation has done a masterful job in promoting the game. They really haven't let all of the information out of the bag, but little pieces of information like this that isn't game-breaking by any means, but gets everyone looking at Spider-Man and just gets everybody more excited for the game. I think they have done just a fantastic job in promoting this game, and I really think people are going to be shocked with how this game does commercially. I think it is going to be one of the biggest games of the year. I don't know if it's going to do better commercially than God of War, but I don't think that's as much of a far cry as many gamers think it to be. We'll find out soon enough, as again, we are getting very close to the release of Spider-Man. It is coming on September 7th.
Like fish in a barrel.
Catastrophic event detected.
That doesn't sound good. Oh, hi, Rhino.
Hope you like surprise, Spider.
Surprise.
Next, let's talk a little bit about Bethesda. Todd Howard just spoke to The Guardian, and he talked about a lot of different things, namely if a situation like Fallout New Vegas would occur again. If you aren't familiar with the release of Fallout New Vegas, and I really can't blame you, that game at this point is almost 8 years old. Yeah, that's kind of hard to believe. But the main Bethesda team actually didn't work on Fallout New Vegas. It was actually a little studio known as Obsidian, and Obsidian has grown to be one of the major RPG development studios in their own right. They've worked on games such as Pillars of Eternity, they did South Park: The Stick of Truth, more recently they released Pillars of Eternity 2, they also did Tyranny. A lot of games have been done by them, but they also did Fallout New Vegas, and many would consider to be Fallout New Vegas the best of the recent Fallout games, and here's what Todd Howard said about that. I wouldn't say never to an outside studio, but now that our company is so big, it's always better to keep stuff internal. It becomes less likely. He did give Obsidian a lot of credit, continuing by saying, I thought the Obsidian guys did a fabulous job. I personally was expecting something more similar to Fallout New Vegas with Fallout 76, but Fallout 76 looks to be more focused on multiplayer gameplay. I thought with the Fallout game this year, they would just go to a new setting and keep the entirety of Fallout 4 really intact in terms of the foundation of its gameplay, and I mean, that's kind of the case with Fallout 76. The fundamentals seem to be still intact, but of course, multiplayer is the focus. As far as giving their IPs to an outside studio, it looks like that is a little bit unlikely at this point. Todd Howard also talked about various remasters. Of course, they have released the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim on a wide range of platforms, so would they ever remaster the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind? Here's what Todd Howard said about that. Quote, "For Skyrim Remastered, we had done some work on it, but it was already pretty visually close. But for something like Morrowind, my personal preference is not to remaster it. I'm happy that you can play Morrowind now on an Xbox One as it's backwards compatible. I'm really happy that Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and others are making it easier for people to play older games as they were played at the time. I'd rather you play Morrowind the way it was. I think the age is a part of its identity." He also continued talking about playing older games on current platforms and saying this, quote, "I think streaming technology is definitely coming and it's gonna make people's access to games infinitely easier. You've seen what happened to music and movies, and I think it's a greater thing." I don't know if I would directly agree with that. Gaming, movies, and music are three distinctly different things. With gaming, you have that interactivity. We've seen a lot of game streaming services and they have seemingly always flopped. PlayStation Now, OnLive. Do you even know what OnLive was? OnLive is actually something PlayStation acquired to make into PlayStation Now. But let's not talk about it because I feel the majority of gamers do not want to be streaming their games. But nonetheless, I'm not here to get into that debate right now. Todd Howard just pointed that out. As far as a Morrowind remaster, it looks like that won't ever be happening. It looks like a situation with Fallout New Vegas where they get an outside studio to work on one of their IPs. It looks like that isn't completely out of the question, but with Bethesda being as big as it is now, it's seemingly less likely than ever. I mean, you look at Bethesda, they are working on 3 major games right now. Fallout 76, which is nearing completion, but they're also doing Starfield, and they're also doing Elder Scrolls 6. That is actually pretty insane when you think about how big all of those games are set to be. And they've got Elder Scrolls Blades, and I'm sure they've got a couple of other unannounced projects. Bethesda is becoming one of the biggest game studios in all of gaming. Moving on from that, there has been a new update released to Enter the Gungeon. This is a very charming game that you can pick up over at the PlayStation Store, and it's added a lot of new content, including better drop rates, new bosses, and over 500 new synergies. There's a very in-depth article over at the PlayStation blog that goes over the changes, but it includes a ton of new content and challenge balancing while making the Gungeon a far more generous place for those new to the game. There's an overhaul to the synergies, a ton of quality of life improvements, and there are 2 new bosses and 1 new mini-boss. If you are a fan of Enter the Gungeon or you never checked out the game, now is the perfect time to either revisit the game or pick it up for the first time. Again, we'll leave a link to the in-depth PlayStation blog post in the description box down below.
Enter the Gungeon.
And finally, THQ Nordic has revealed their Gamescom 2018 lineup, and there are gonna be some surprise announcements, but we've got some confirmations on games that will be there. Of course, Darksiders 3 is gonna be there. That's their major game right now, at least in the coming months. That game is gonna see a November release, so they really need to ramp up anticipation for that title. Generation Zero, the newly announced title by Avalanche, that'll be at the big show. And another major title that'll be there that I'm very excited for is Biomutant. One of the major surprises of last year, it is coming back with a new gameplay demo, and on top of that, we've got Fade to Silence that sends the player in a world of unrelenting winter, fighting not only hunger and monsters, but also nature itself. Personally, I'm really excited to see more of Generation Zero and Biomutant. Those 2 games look very exciting, new, fresh IPs. I'm sure that Darksiders 3 will also be cool, but Biomutant and Generation Zero, for me, is a bit higher in terms of anticipation. And on top of that, they do have a couple of surprise announcements as well. So that is going to conclude this video. Again, the new PS4 system software update 6.0 is coming, and if you want to be a beta tester, you can sign up to do so right now. News about Spider-Man continues to trickle out, and now we've got a classic suit revealed for the first time. Fallout New Vegas situation where Bethesda gets an outside studio to work on Fallout is probably unlikely given how big Bethesda is now. And if it's Todd Howard's decision to make, the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind will never be remastered. There's a big update that's been released to Enter the Gungeon, and THQ Nordic has revealed their Gamescom 2018 lineup. Highlights include Darksiders 3, Generation Zero, and Biomutant. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.